The internet is melting. That's the topic for today. But anyway, welcome everybody to BigGunner81 Live, presented by Applied Arsenal Finishes and Gunworks out in Waterman, Illinois, for all your Cerakote needs, and they got you covered for all types of gun customization. Check them out. I think they got a new website coming out too. I think it's appliedarsenalfinishes.com, I believe. Otherwise, search for them on Facebook. You can find them there for sure and see some of the cool photos of some of their work. Also, by our friends over at Eggleston Munitions, if you're into reloading and shoot a lot, check out egglestonmunitions.com. They got some great projectiles at affordable pricing. And we believe we have a coupon code BigGunner81 that's still active as well. I believe it's maybe 10, 15% off. I don't remember the exact amount, but check it out, see what it can do. And also by our friends over at Spinta Precision. Of course, their website is spintaprecision.com. They make a lot of cool barrels, including this one I got inside my Glock 19 here that we're building up. Nice stainless steel barrel. And also by our friends over at the Range at 355. So anyhow, real quick, we'll introduce everybody and I'll kind of show you what we're working on and tell you some of the stories, what we're doing. We got TJ, Lead Sling Ginger, in the house on Instagram and on YouTube now. Welcome, TJ.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you, Rick. Always a pleasure to be here.
Hey, congrats on starting up your own show too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, it's an experience, but it's a really good avenue to let me get some things off my chest. So a lot of fun. Gonna keep doing it and gonna just keep having fun with it, man.
Awesome. Like I always say, have fun shooting. We'll have fun doing videos. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's about.
Exactly.
And Corey, how's it going, Corey? From
Hello. Hanging out, reading one of my chapters for school tomorrow. So
fun stuff.
Just hanging out.
And our buddy Brandon, who also has been helping out with the website for the 50 States of AR-15 project. Welcome, Brandon.
Hey, good to be here, guys.
Hey, we'll talk with you too about your match this past weekend as well, if you want to talk about how that went. I know you had a good time with that, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Cool. So we've got maybe wondering. I just decided to set the camera up. That's why I'm using my laptop camera on here on me, but I want to get another camera too as well. But in the meantime, I'm just using laptop one. I've got my nice little Logitech, I think it's C920 or whatever, HD camera sitting out there on the, showing you the shot of the bed on the 3D printer. So maybe wondering what the heck is that orangish reddish thing that I'm printing off, and what's that white thing in the back corner? Well, the white thing in the back corner there, I'll tell you what that is. That's a keychain that I designed. It's kind of hard to tell from this shot. It looks like it's white. It's actually glow in the dark material, and it has BigGunner81 on two of the sides, and the other two sides have the 81 with the box around it from the logo. What's on the table right now, you maybe can't really tell what's being printed on the front edge, but it's actually starting to print the logo on the outside of it where you can almost see it. And it's a prototype design I put together of a different pistol stand. Don't know how it's going to come out. Don't know if the dimensions are going to work very well. I just kind of drew it off of a rough idea I had in my head. And I was thinking about, if you want to be able to have a pistol that can kind of cradle, either put it in a gun safe or like if you want to have it on a display in a display case of some type, just a different design that if you want to have a magazine in it, you could have a magazine in it, loaded, unloaded, whatever your preference on that is. That's a whole nother story. But this one's more of a universal style stand in a sense, if it'll work. Again, it's a prototype, so I just kind of came up with some dimensions for it, drew it up in Fusion 360, and I'm printing the first one ever to be made out right now. If you've been following along on the Instagram feed and Facebook and so forth, I've also been doing some other pistol stands, some that are basically for the Glocks, the double stack 9mm and 40 caliber. Excuse me. And some that have a mag holder on the side, so you can have a mag and have the pistol on display, or some that just have the pistol post on it, so you can just display the pistol and no mag. And in fact, I made one that is glow-in-the-dark material. Do something just kind of cool if you want to have it, out on display and, just something different. I'll show you what it is right here. I know my camera on this laptop kind of sucks, so I apologize, but I'm going to pull the pistol off here. I'll talk about that in a moment too. This one actually, after I posted it, I had someone who is buying it from me. We're just working out the details and getting payment sent over, and then it's going to be on the way to him. I'm trying to show you. You can see the BigGunner81 logo in there. If you go on Instagram, this is the one that is glowing in green on the top of the one photo with that same pistol, I believe, on it, or my other 19 that I have. But it's kind of a cool little design. This one came out pretty decent. Some of the 3D prints are difficult to get to come out real well. This one, I was impressed. It actually printed out nice and sharp on that logo. I mean, you could tell from this camera. I mean, it's really good. So I'm proud of it. I like it. And I'm going to kind of miss it. Hopefully, I'll get to make another one that comes out just as nice. Before I put this on here, I'm just going to mention about this pistol real quick. So I have a Glock 19 for carry. Basically, it's all factory Glock except for the mag release, which isn't this one, but this is a factory mag release. The one on my carry is a Crux Ord extended mag release. I want to get one of those probably too for this one, or maybe something similar. I don't know yet. But I wanted to do a Glock 19 that was more of like a hot rod, so to speak. Like, here's my carry, type pistol, and then here's my going out and having fun shooting with it type pistol, and just that sort of thing. So this one, we just got this LTD combat slide, and we actually won one at NRA show back in 2016. And the one that we had gotten was one of their first designs. There was a flaw in it, and they were going to replace it, and they finally came through with the replacement. It took a little while, but good things come to those who wait, and it's a really nice slide. One of the things the original one did not have was the RMR mount in the back here, where the plate can come off and you put an RMR on it. So eventually I would like to get an RMR for it. Right now I'm trying to figure out what sights to run. I have an extra set of XS big dot sights, glow in the dark thing, but I just don't really like them for this particular pistol. I don't know what I'm going to do with those yet, but I'm kind of excited about this. So basically the frame right now and everything inside the frame on this particular pistol is all stock Glock stuff. The slide again is LTD combat. All the parts kit inside is pretty much stock Glock stuff. The back plate here, I don't know if you can see the logo or not. It's really small, but it's a Strike Industries back plate. What I like about it is it's got like a button in the center. It's kind of probably really hard to tell, especially if I keep moving around, but I'll see if I let it kind of focus in there a little bit. There's like a button, so you don't have to have a tool to take it out. It makes taking apart your slide much easier. And the barrel, again, as I mentioned in the show, is a spin to precision barrel. And the guide rod and guide spring, which is really hard to see, has a spiral fluting to it. It's from Crux Ord as well. Like I said, I probably will end up getting their mag release for the bottom, for the frame. And I'm looking at options for triggers. I've kind of been thinking about if I can find some of the stainless steel looking parts for the pins and stuff on this. I don't know what's available out there. I'm still learning about some of the options for this. But I want to do those. Different trigger at some point, maybe a extended slide release or something for it. And maybe have some work done on the frame. Maybe send it off to our friends over at Applied Arsenal Finishes and have them do an undercut and, on the base of the trigger guard and on the back of the trigger guard here. And maybe have also something done with the grip as well, maybe with a BigGunner81 logo or something in it. Do a laser stippling type job to it. Don't know. But for now, I just kind of want to build it up, get it running, and have fun with it. So that's what I've got so far on this. And like it a lot, like that slide a lot. It's pretty cool. But there's a lot of stuff going on right now on the internet. I mentioned the internet's melting. Now, TJ, we'll kind of talk a little bit about that with you too, about this whole thing. I was like, some of it I was kind of oblivious to in a sense, because I've been working all day. But last I heard, Trump's trying to ban bump player stocks, and there was one about X Products, the owner of it, I guess, or CEO.
Yeah. So I'll be honest. There's so much is going on. Like it's, I'm convinced it's literally melting. There's so many posts and reposts and retweets and shares. It's really hard to keep track of. So yeah, apparently there's a story going around, and it's coming from credible sources. I'm not doubting the validity of the story, but apparently President Trump is pushing through executive action to banned bump fire stocks. Those have been, anybody that's been watching the show or paying attention lately knows those have been a hotly contested item, especially post Las Vegas massacre. The NRA has even suggested or implied that they be reviewed once again by the ATF for their application to the NFA or National Firearms Act as a Class 3 item. To be perfectly honest, I'm not sure exactly what Trump's going to do, because that's not something he can do through executive order. That's actually a breach of power. He can push the Congress to act on it, but he can't do that himself.
Right.
So I'm going to let the dust settle on that issue and actually come back around to it. But so let's focus on the X products thing for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So very similar to the aftermath of the Las Vegas massacre, when the owner of a very popular gun range that even rents full automatic weapons, from what I understand, I could be wrong on that, but I do know it's a very popular range that he's the owner of, came out and started talking about shutting down his doors and getting out of the game and getting out of the industry, because he's essentially changing his position to being anti-gun. And the CEO of X Products, from what I read, through apparently his own words, were very much along the same lines. In so many words, he exclaimed that the high capacity magazines that X Products creates, and for those that don't know, they make machined drum magazines for the AR platform and similar rifles that'll hold 50 to 60 rounds. And even he said something to the effect of, yeah, our magazines hold up to 50 rounds and they cost $300 some odd. But really the only purpose of those is so, yeah, you don't have to change magazines as often and you can show off with your friends. I don't honestly know why anybody would want to buy them.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a cringe moment from, just from a business perspective. You're literally, spilling the beans that you think your own products are completely unnecessary.
So where did he say this at exactly?
I saw it on a screenshot. It looked like from his Facebook post, but it also looked like there were screenshots from an interview that he did or a press release that they did.
Are you sure it's all true, or is it like someone made this up maybe?
No, I've been seeing it from enough people. But yeah,
I'm just curious. I was looking on their Facebook page just to see if there was something on it, out of curiosity.
Yeah, let me find it again, and I will.
In the meantime, I'm going to give a shout out to. Well, actually, I'll say a couple things. First off, our buddy Joe Gizzy I was talking with him earlier today. He was going to try to be on, but he couldn't quite make it tonight. But he wanted me to make sure I expressed his disapproval of our president's wanting to ban bump fire stocks, as I'm sure we all can kind of agree on. Also want to give a shout out to our friends over on YouTube watching. Of course, if you have questions, comments, appreciate any of your feedback. We got Sean out there and NC Engravers watching as well. Thanks, guys, for hanging out and checking out what we're doing. But and also, Sean, thanks for the positive feedback on the 3D printing. Appreciate that. That's why I like sharing this stuff. I think it's really cool, and I like sharing cool stuff with everybody. And if there's something that I can help somebody learn, or learn something from somebody else who comments on what we have that we're doing, that's awesome. That's what it's all about: sharing information, having fun, just doing cool stuff. Kind of like that sort of thing. And right now, I'll just kind of do a little quick overview. It's getting pretty close. I don't know how. I want to say this stand is 4 inches tall, roughly. I forget what my dimension was that I set it to, but it looks like it's a good part of the way through the BigGunner81 logo, which is the bottom part of it. So this thing's actually pretty tall, much taller than this. The camera angle I've set up on it probably is a little bit low, but I set it there because when I was printing out the first layer, it it's kind of a better angle for that. So, we'll see how it progresses as the show goes on. Like I said, it's probably got a couple hours at least left to it. So you probably won't see it completed on the show. But if it comes out okay, we'll post up some photos on Instagram as well and kind of show what it looks like. It may, like I said, may not even work. It's just an idea. Part of what we're seeing there, you kind of see the cross pattern. I can't even speak. The checkering, I guess, another way to say it. That's the infill setting. I think I set it down to like 15% or something. It was less than 20 anyway. So there's not as much material in the center of the structure. But again, it's probably going to be strong enough to support a pistol either way. I was just again doing this as a prototype sort of thing, and who knows how it's gonna turn out. So I'd rather not waste a bunch of material doing that. So again, just kind of explain the infill part of it for those that are kind of curious what the hell I'm talking about. When it prints like a shell, so to speak, like the outer layer, and that outer layer has some thickness to it. But as you're printing things, you want to have an interior structure, otherwise it's pretty weak, right? So the infill is like a 0 to 100%. If 100%, you're basically making a solid plastic model, and that takes the longest to print because it's filling every single crevice with plastic as it builds it. It does this like honeycomb type pattern, like this checkered pattern, as it cross strands on the inside. Otherwise, so the lesser the infill, the larger those cubes look like, basically. And like I said, since it's a prototype, I wasn't too worried about setting the infill real high. But also, if you put a 0% infill, what ends up happening is any surfaces on the top layer will cave in because there's nothing to support it underneath. And you also run the risk of the walls kind of caving too and warping and things like that because there's nothing to support them. I was printing one of those cubes, for example, just for the hell of it, and I kind of wasn't thinking about the infill, and I put it down to like 0 or some really low amount, and it printed, and it was able to kind of bridge the gap on the top of the print, but there was a lot of holes in the top because the plastic was kind of falling down in the center of it as it was doing it, and it just came out like crap on the top. The sides looked okay because it was small enough to not fall in on itself, but kind of learned from that and got an idea of how to do it differently. And I think the glow in the dark ones, I want to say, I don't think I printed those solid. I might have. I don't remember because I printed them. I think if I printed them at the same time as this one stand that I got next to me that I was showing a minute ago, that was set at I think 100% infill. Again, these prints take a long time, so if you set the infill real high and you set the speed slow and this and that, and it's a big piece, it can take hours. Like this one right here. No, not this one. Another piece very similar that I am going to print pretty soon. If I printed it at like 100% infill, it was gonna take like 30 hours to print. That's a long freaking time, So we're gonna look into that because we'll see. It depends on what we're gonna do with that piece. But I'll probably, if this works out, I'll probably print these at maybe a little bit thicker infill. I don't know. Depends how strong this is. Doesn't necessarily have to be heavy. That's the other part of it. So. Anyway, now that I beat that to death, and we probably lost a few people from watching because I talked too long about 3D printing.
Yeah.
About.
So to answer your question, it looks like the best resource as of right now is, instead of going on Instagram, Soldier Systems Daily, the gun industry media online paper / magazine / news resource, whatever you want to call them. They picked up the story. So if you want kind of a comprehensive, not a whole lot of screenshot, reposts on Instagram, Soldier Systems Daily has a page for it.
So is he looking at,
has an article on it.
Is he looking at dropping his products that he manufactures?
I don't think he's going to have to drop anything. I think he's just sank his whole company.
Think so? Or are people going to go buy it all up and be like, "Hey, I got one of the last ones before they folded or whatever"?
No, man. Dude, you do stuff like that. You say stuff like that, you might as well take your company out back, tied to a tree, and hit it in the head with a spade shovel.
It's not always. Look at Cheaper Than Dirt, for example. They were gouging people, but they're still in business, during that whole height of the potential ban in like 2012. And they're still around. People still buy stuff from them. There's a lot of people that don't even know any better either on that other side of the fence.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help that apparently I guess his wife is also a member of Everytown, the anti-gun
What the heck?
advocacy group.
So why did he get
Yeah,
into? How did he get into gun stuff? If that was the case, I don't get it.
because it's an industry that makes money, bro. That's exactly why. That's why you see so many.
Oh, he
And
just
I'm
sent
using,
me.
and
Our
I'm
buddy over at
using,
Gun Channel sent me a link to that too, so I'm looking at it now.
yeah, and I'm using the term loosely, but I mean, that's why there's so many turncoats and just fake dudes in this. I mean, hell, look at
This is funny. His last name is Malarkey.
yeah.
I don't know. That just seems funny to me. Like it's a bunch of malarkey that he'd have a company
Yeah,
that does guns.
a synonym for bullshit. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Wow.
I
They
mean,
made some really nice stuff too, so that sucks.
I mean, now, they made really expensive stuff.
You know, that's true, but expensive and nice. I mean, yeah, they don't always go hand in hand, but it looked like it was pretty nice.
Yeah, dude, I've been in this industry long enough. There are plenty of people in this industry that are simply in it to make money and turn a profit because it sells. And it's easy to
Hey, by
sell.
the way, I'm just going to mention this. I was G-Web's, over on Gun Channels. They're watching, us live as well. They made some really nice changes to the site there. I haven't even gotten a chance to explore it all, but it's looking pretty nice. If anyone watching hasn't been over to gunchannels.com, go check it out. It's kind of like the Facebook of the gun world. That's how I sum it up in my description when I tell people what it is. But it's a place where you can chat with other gun people, and they usually have a 24-hour chat very similar to like what we do with our show, where they got a Google Hangout running and people hang out and talk guns all the time and whatnot. And it's a place to share videos and photos and content that's firearms related without having the whole thing of like anti-gun where like Facebook, if you post a gun for sale or something, people will flame over it or kick you off or whatever. It's not biased.
Hey, what was the name of that site again?
Gunchannels.com.
Channels. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, check it out, Brandon. I know you may not have seen it yet, but
yeah, I made a quick visit over there, but trying to spin up the YouTube channel plus all my other social media accounts, really haven't had time. I plan on branching out and cross posting.
Yes,
a lot of my material.
It takes a lot of time to build a channel. I mean, my channel's grown steadily but slowly but steadily. I started this in like July of 2014, and I remember when I started the 50 States of AR-15 project, and I want to say that was in 2016 that I got into that. I want to say we were right around 1,000, a little over 1,000 subscribers then. It takes a while. We add a few here and there every day or every couple days. I look, I've got a few more added to it. One day it'll go down by one, and then 2 days later it'll go up by 5 people. So it's not going in like the wrong direction, but it takes a long time and a lot of work making content and everything. I know I personally have been a little bit behind producing some videos lately just because of all the influx of work I've been doing with my full-time career. I guess this is more of a hobby, but we've got a lot of stuff in the works with that too. So, I mean, yeah, I think it's great you're starting it up and just keep pushing at it, and you'll get it growing. You're doing a great job so far with it.
Yeah, I'm trying to, man. But yeah, I think the redundancy is going to be important, especially as we keep seeing, the voices of, pro-gun or pro-constitution or pro-American, and I mean historical American values being encroached upon for their voices to be heard. I could easily and they'll even get you for stuff like language, or they'll find any other small reason. But I guarantee you, if I posted the exact same, verbiage and language and content, but instead of being like pro-gun, I was either anti-gun or pro-abortion or any of the other typical far left liberal ideologies, I'd be getting far more followers.
I had a video
and reaching more people and all that other stuff. So
I was 3D print. This is what sucks. I was 3D printing a Glock stand or something the other day. I don't even think I put the word Glock in the title or anything like that. And it says not suitable for most advertisers. I'm like, there's no guns in this video. It's a 3D printer running on a stand. Can I contest it? No, because it hasn't had 1,000 views in 7 days yet. So basically, it won't get very many ads played on it or anything like that, or whatever. Or maybe they just won't pay you for those ads that they do play. I don't know how they do it, but it was kind of BS. Sean over on YouTube over here says we should send all the children to California so they can be safe with all the Hollywood people. man, there's a lot of weird people in Hollywood. No offense, and there's a lot of cool people, like our buddy Brandon Hampton. I say buddy, but acquaintance, I guess, more a better term. But I consider him a friend anyway. Who's on Better Call Saul? We had him on the show. Yeah, he's a cool dude. You know, it's not everybody's crazy in Hollywood.
Yeah, but instead of being potential victims of a school shooting or some other massacre that's easily preventable, we're going to send them to a state where child rape and molestation runs rampant.
Yeah. I'm looking to see what he was writing on here. Oh, this is okay, cool. So I guess little update. I was gonna say Pete over our gun channel, G-Webs over Gun Channels said and I'm gonna put this on here so I can say it. He was saying join us being over on Gun Channels, join over on Gun Channels Thursdays when CloverTech hosts a show for people building gun channels on social media. That's cool. He's probably I'm assuming that means he's doing a YouTube show to talk about how to build a gun channel and build social media for a gun channel and so forth. And G-Web's also mentioned that I lost my live ability again. I only had it back for less than 20 days. It'd be funny if it didn't hurt so much. That sucks. And I lost my live streaming privileges not that long ago over a bump fire stock video. You know, I posted like 2 years previously or whatever. And then I was locked out for, I think, 3 months, I believe, and got that back, and it cleared out whatever that community strike. And, you know, now someone will probably flag something else because they want to be jerks about it, and none of my videos are hurting anybody. Like I told someone before, I posted a video shooting full auto, and they felt that it was a threat in some way. And I said, tell me where my video hurt you. Seriously.
Show us on the doll where where
Yes.
your feelings were hurt.
Exactly. Cry me a freaking river. So it's not anything. I'm not, you know. Anyway, is was and by the way, G-Web said that it's the nuts and bolts basically for how to do a YouTube channel, for a gun related YouTube channel, which is cool. There's a lot of them out there. Recently, you know, speaking of the censorship stuff, YouTube took away monetization for smaller channels. Meaning, I believe if you have less than 1,000 subscribers and less than like 4,000 minutes watched or something like that, I forget. They basically took away that privilege, I guess.
Yeah. So, as someone who just set up a YouTube channel this year, I have to have at least 1,000 subscribers or 4,000 viewing hours on my content.
I thought it was both.
No, it's either or.
Well, that's kind of good news because I have a secondary channel that only has 276 subscribers, and I make more money on that, which isn't much. It's a couple bucks a month than I do on this channel.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's at least for new channels, it says on there that they will review your channel and your content to see if it qualifies for ad revenue. And yeah, I'm not doing this for ad revenue.
Right.
It'd be a nice little benefit. I could at least say that my hobbies make at least something.
Helps buy a box of ammo a month, maybe.
Yeah.
That's about maybe it.
And I reload all my shit anyway, so.
Buy some projectiles from Eggleston Munitions.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. So,
but yeah, it's a labor of love. It really is. But
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, if it comes out to, I guess if you had to ask me why I'm doing it, knowing what I know about the censorship policies and the constant moving of the goalposts, I still do it because I'm one of those guys where I'm not going to allow that to dissuade me from having my voice heard or doing what I want to do. I acknowledge wholeheartedly that YouTube is a private company. They could run their website as they see fit. And me, I cannot stand on my laurels, you know, hoping for a truly free enterprise and a free America and then shun them for having those practices on their channel. But at the same time, I'm not going to let that stop me.
So I'll say this too, for the bigger channels, it sucks for all the people that are smaller just starting out with it. It dissuades people who want to. I guess it isn't necessarily a bad thing in some respect. And what I get with that is you might see better quality of content. I mean, I don't know if you're going to see awesome, great content coming out of me necessarily, but I try as best as I can. I try to learn more about it. But anyhow, you know, there's a lot of junk out there that maybe just is being put out there just because people are trying to get funds out of it or whatever. And if you take away that early on, that takes that work to build your following and build the views, it might slow that down, you know, and kind of help weed out some of those things, or the people who are not committed to growing a channel. Because honestly, to come back every week, or at least like I wasn't here last week, but almost every week, and to come out with a video or a couple videos a month, it takes some type of dedication when we all of us have our regular daily lives to live, you know, full-time jobs or whatever, you know, family, all those other obligations. And it's like, this is like a hobby, but it takes dedication to build that and the time to do it all, and just a lot of work too, you know. It's fun, don't get me wrong, it's a fun thing to do, but it also takes a lot of work and time to do this stuff. Like video editing, you can do, I film like of course my friend was jokingly but kind of seriously said to me, you know, one of the things when I film is I'll do a multiple takes of something, meaning I don't write out a script. Some people write out scripts and follow a script. I think of what I want to say in my head, and I'll say it out loud, and I'll be like, no, that didn't sound good. I'll start all over from the beginning until I feel that I got a good take on it. It helps with the editing a little bit in that respect. But my friends have said, he goes, just do it the first time. You don't have to worry about all the friggin' editing and going through all the videos and stuff. Yeah, I'm not a one-take wonder. Not at all. So it does take time. You know, you spend like, you know, all those, you know, an hour, a couple hours filming something, and then you have to sit there and edit it all down to get a minute or a couple minutes video out of it, 2 to 5 minute video or whatever, you know. So it is what it is. But it'll probably weed out those people who are not as dedicated to doing it.
Yeah, no, dude, I definitely feel you on that. So I've frequently been told that I'm a very articulate and well-spoken individual.
Yes,
I'm used to presenting to a crowd, and like the video I made today, like, yeah, that's a 7-minute video. It took hours to make that because I had notes, you know, jotted down for what I wanted to say, and then as soon as I would turn my camera on, my tongue would fall out of my head. It's just like, crap, what was I going to say? So yeah, it's completely different when you're doing it on camera, but you got to push yourself out of those comfort zones, man.
Yes, exactly. I kind of got more used to it. One part that is kind of awkward, though, I will tell you up front, if you're doing a video out someplace, you know, I don't remember what my first video was where I was doing an interview. So, oh, I know, duh. My first actual interview video for the channel was with my friend Pete from the Ranger 385. Outside of and that was like I never met him before. I just talked to him on the phone, and I just said, hey, I'm a guy who has a YouTube channel and have like 200 and some people following it. I just started out with it. I think it'd be kind of cool to show off your range. And, you know, would he be interested in doing a video? Just me and my camera, and went out to his empty lot before they ever built anything there. And, you know, before the building went up and everything, and filmed it. And it was just, you kind of get into that. You learn how to do it. You know, I mean, I'll tell you, I get butterflies doing that stuff. Doing this show, it's not that big of a deal anymore. You know, of course, this is like episode 127, I think, today. And, you know, we've done a couple other live shows with other people. And, you know, I tell you what is a little bit, you do get a little bit of butterflies. Like, for example, I was on the Rock Castle gun show, Rock Castle shooting show, which airs on ESPN Kentucky and is also a podcast. There's a lot of people listening to it. And I didn't really have any prep for that, just other than, hey, I'm going to talk about what I'm doing with my project, and jumped right into it and just got on the air with them and talked with them for a while. That was a lot of fun. It is a little bit more of an adrenaline rush too, especially one part of that is if you've got an audience that big, what's nice about it is if you're not the person controlling, you know, the show, you're not the one that's the host of it, you can just kind of answer questions and kind of go along and work with the flow that's going on with it. One of the challenges when you do a live show with call-ins, like I was a call-in, sometimes, you know, time frames. You know, if you're doing a live show, there's commercial breaks, there's different things. It's a structure. Your guests can talk for a long period of time, like I am doing a lot of times. Luckily, we didn't run into any problems with it, but it was pretty cool. By the way, I was also going to mention this too. G-Web's over on Gun Channels. He's like the founder of, I guess, basically the owner, founder, whatever you want to call it. He's doing this gun show loophole tour or something like that, where he's been traveling around the states, different states, showing off ranges and different events and things, just traveling in his van with his dog, I think is what it was. I think he was even at the range of 35, if I remember right, at one point. I think it's pretty cool. You should check it out. Go to Gun Channels. I'm sure he's got all the videos up on there someplace. Might even throw the link up in the live chat and I can tell you all. But I kind of catch bits and pieces here and there when I can. And I think it's just kind of a neat concept to spend that kind of like a time doing that, sharing that. Very similar to the idea with the 50 States project I've been working on. You know, we want to share not just the products and the rifles and this and that, but the people behind it and things like, you know, and kind of share it from each different state. I think it's just a cool concept to show that state pride and show the different aspects of our country. Despite what we hear about all this anti-gun BS, there's a lot of good Second Amendment supporters out there in the world and a lot of good people in the firearms industry. And we need to encourage that. We need to encourage, you know, more people, maybe more of the right people, I guess, too, to be firearms owners if they're, you know, of course, I won't say that everyone's shown a gun because that's not the case, but I think that there's a lot of people out there that may be on the fence about it or that maybe don't see the other side of firearms ownership other than what they see on the news where they talk about, hey, this kills everybody. Have a discussion at work and they're talking about assault rifles. And, you know, I'm like, well, you realize assault rifle is an incorrect term for one. And two, the assault rifle, like when people do talk about it, is meaning a full auto, not a, they use the word semi-automatic or they'll use an automatic. They'll just drop the semi to make it sound like it's automated, like you hold the button and you hold the trigger down and boom, you know? No, not the case. You have to explain that to people and they're like, oh, really? Oh, you know, and they don't know that.
Yeah. So one of the things that I like to do, we need to get away from getting stuck into that argument.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's a full auto, a select fire with a burst capability, a semi-auto, or a musket. The bottom line is it doesn't matter.
True.
The issue is not the gun or the capabilities thereof. The issue is exactly the person behind it. I mean, yeah, we could get into the mental health debate. You know, we could get into the laws that are already on the books and stuff like that. But it really comes down to the person that's getting that firearm. I personally don't think that there's anything wrong with the laws as they currently exist. I would like to see the NFA repealed.
Yes.
I would entirely not pass a bill that allows suppressors and silencers, but repeal the NFA entirely.
Yeah, I'm all for it. I think it was a bunch of BS.
But at the same time, just because I'm not against those devices being owned by citizens doesn't mean that guys like me are for criminals and deranged people and those that are mentally ill from having those capabilities. No more than I would want a blind person to have a car.
What about a blind person owning a gun?
Yeah, that's one of those gray areas where that's a tough answer.
It really is. It really is.
But at the same time, we could end up what ifing or debating this all night. But
right.
Okay, so blind person has a gun. Are you saying that a blind person is not entitled to defend themselves?
No, I'm not saying that.
All right.
They should have a right to themselves.
So I think we can reasonably say that within the home, that person is not really a danger to anybody other than themselves.
It depends if whoever's in their home with them, maybe they mistakenly can't identify who the person is that walked in their house. You know, of course, it's a judgment call too.
No, now, but here's the thing with that. Even somebody that's invited into your home can become a threat.
That's true.
As a matter of fact, we can even cite specific laws, like in the state of Florida, where their castle doctrine dictates any person on your property, invited or not, that is deemed a threat to your life and well-being can be, lethal force can be applied to that situation. They don't have to be a complete stranger to be a threat to you.
That's true. I mean, think about it. How many times there's, people that get battered up by their boyfriends or girlfriends in some cases.
Yeah,
You
and
know?
you can even look at the statistics for rape and domestic abuse. More often than not, and I don't have the specific statistics in front of me, but the assailant is somebody that the victim knew or had an encounter with at some point.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like some random guy in a trench coat hiding in a dark corner of an alley trying to grab a woman and rape her. I'm sure that does happen, but if you look at the actual statistics for real rape cases, it was somebody that the victim had an encounter with prior to that incident.
Gotcha. Well,
So-
I'm gonna switch gears real quick too on this.
Sure.
Hey, Brandon, you want to talk a little bit about your experience this past weekend?
Oh yeah, about the
Matches?
USPSA match.
You said that was your first match, didn't you, or no?
Yeah, I've done an IDPA match and a Glock match a couple years ago, but yeah, this is the first USPSA match. So it was a ton of fun. I went out there and everybody was real cool. Everything was safe. That was the number one mission for my day, being a noob running around. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was kind of dreary, but the best piece of equipment that I brought was a $15 pair of rubber boots. So that was good.
Gotcha.
But
So it was pretty muddy out?
yeah, a little bit. And I got some pictures and some good videos of some of the guys running the courses. And I think there was a couple of masters or grandmaster shooters there. So they were hammering it out pretty good. So
Awesome. Yeah, I will say, like, from my experience, when it comes to the gun community and going out to matches and things, it's a lot of fun. You got a lot of great people to hang out with and everything. It's awesome. In all things considered, like for like 3-gun, especially if you go to a major match, you might shoot for like 9 minutes that day, and it might be, I don't know, 8-hour day or something, roughly, whatever it is. And it's a small amount of time that you're actually physically shooting. Of course, there's a lot of physical activity because you're lugging all your gear around from here, there to everywhere, and doing a lot of walking usually. But depending on what range you're at, of course. But it's a lot of fun. It's great to have all these good people to hang out with and everything, and so I think that's pretty cool. So what were you shooting this weekend?
I shot the CZ75, and
Nice.
I got a double alpha belt and blade tech holster and mag pouches and everything. So it worked out pretty good.
Cool.
I was actually hoping to shoot the 3-gun match on Sunday because the USPSA match got rained out last week, so they moved it to the Saturday, and they slotted the Saturday slot, which was usually for 3-gun, to Sunday. But I showed up too early, actually. They were doing it in the afternoon instead of the morning. So, but I heard that the courses on that were where you had to tote around your own guns and ammo and everything from bay to bay to bay. So I was like, that sounds like fun to me. I might like to do it once, but we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah, I actually bought a cart for that too. Like, at least when I was going to my local club when I was in Illinois. Yeah, I mean, I forget how long the firing line was. I don't know if it was I want to say it was like I don't know, a quarter mile or a half mile. I forget what they said, but it was at least a quarter mile, let's say. It's a pretty long firing line, and when you've got a whole bunch of ammo for shotgun shells and rifle and pistol and all your gear and 3 guns and a bunch of mags and bags of stuff, it's a lot to carry around. So a lot of people get carts. I've seen people take like the baby strollers or baby joggers, whatever you call them, and convert them, put make rifle racks on them with those rack. Basically, they have like these U-shaped rifle holders you can put on your ATV. They'll mount those on them and things like that. And I ended up just going out and buying a yard cart from like a Menards, which is like a like a hardware store or whatever, just to basically 4x4 like a wagon with sides on it that you could fold down and this and that. Yeah. I picked one of those. I got a video on it someplace, but That's what I would use. I mean, I just throw all my gear in that and just drag it around with me. And plus, you could put like a cooler if you want to bring some like water with it, or whatever you want to drink. Non-alcoholic beverages, of course, but that and snacks and like a little cooler and carry that around too. So it's kind of a nice option to have a way to move stuff around when there's so much to lug.
Yeah. The courses or the way they had this one set up is they actually forced you to carry all your stuff from bay to bay to bay in the same stage. So they're making you run up hills and carry all your crap for, pistol, rifle, and shotgun.
Oh, wow. So this is actually as you're running the stage, you got to carry all 3 guns?
That's what I heard, and I was wanting to try it out, but I don't know.
So if you're doing that, are you casing your stuff, or are you putting a sling on for your rifle?
Slings. They said that you had to have a sling on your rifle and shotgun. So
you're going to sling both of those, or carry one and have your pistol holstered? I mean, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't know. It sounded pretty rough. So
yeah,
I don't know if all the ones that this local place is going to do are going to be like that. I would imagine not, because that sounds pretty rough. But sounds like they're changing it up or something. So I'm going to try to make the one next month. We'll see how that goes. So. That's
cool. Yeah, so CZ75 is running pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I had a couple failures to eject, but once it got going and got running, I didn't have really any issues with it besides that. Now, I will say that I did test ammo on Friday to make sure, I'd have good primer strikes and stuff like that, and test it before the match. And I had a lot of light primer strikes, and I was like, crap, now what do I do? So I just put the stock hammer spring back in the gun, and it fired all those without any problem. But after the match, I went back and took the stock mainspring out, or hammer spring out, and put the lightest 8.5 pound spring in there, and the trigger is just a lot better on that. But you have to use federal primers for that, supposedly. So I'm going to be trying that loadout, before the next match.
Cool. What kind of projectiles are you loading it with?
Right now, I'm just getting extreme bullets, 124 grain, and I meant to buy round nose, but I got hollow points because all they had, and I didn't realize. But I'm going to be running that with CFE pistol, and I'm going to try, since the federal small pistol primers are hard to find, I'm going to try the small pistol Magnum primers and see how those go. So, But I've also wanting to try Acme bullets too. I've got a couple of people telling me good things about those, good prices and such. So
cool. Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of projectiles behind me. I got to get loading. My 9mm supply is running kind of low. I've got the 147 grain is what I started running. Originally, I started with 115 grain. Eggleston munitions. I bought some of their Patriot packs, which are red, white, and blue projectiles. Thought those were kind of cool, so I bought them, and I love them. They run great. And then I figured, hey, I'm going to try something heavier just for the heck of it. And went to 147 grains, and I'm like, wow, these things they're pretty accurate, and they shoot a little different. It almost feels like they shoot softer in a sense. So I don't know. It just kind of my take on it. But
from what I've heard, and I'm not a huge, competition reloader yet or whatever, but I've heard that shooting a bigger bullet at a softer, slower velocity is a little less than the snappier stuff. But
yeah, and I'm running. I started using Tight Group, and it doesn't take as much powder either. So what's nice is that for that 1 pound bottle, I forget how many I get out of it, but it saves some money doing that and running those projectiles, and it gets the price down quite a bit over like buying factory loads. I mean, I think 9mm factory loads right now, I want to say the best pricing I've been seeing, and someone could probably always beat this by some penny or two, but right around I think 17-18 cents a round, somewhere around there. And that's brass cased, of course. You can get into steel and get it for a little less, but steel cased, I mean, depends on where you go if you're allowed to shoot it, kind of thing. But I might actually get some just to run it because it's cheap at some point. But indoor ranges, obviously, most of them don't allow that because for whatever reason, probably the main reason is probably because there's not any real value to the material itself. And when they take all the brass that's on the floor, they want to, that's worth more money than the steel, basically.
Yep.
That's part where their income comes from, to pay for all the things like the expensive insurance that you have to have.
Do most of the ranges, the indoor ranges that you guys go to, do they let you keep your brass, or they're just like, it's on the floor, it's ours?
I'll answer that first, I guess, and then I'll let you guys. So when I was in Illinois, two ranges I went to, like range 35, would let you pick up your brass. They're fine with that. And another range that's not too far away from there would let you pick up brass. But there was another one I heard that, like, one, no steel cased, two, you can't collect your brass. I'm like, really? That's kind of stupid. And, I get that's part where their income comes from, is that they're recycling that brass. Down here, I've collected it at all the ranges I've been to. There's been 2 indoor ranges I've been to, Blackstone Shooting Sports in Charlotte, which is right on the cusp of the downtown, the city area. You're coming into the downtown, which is pretty cool. Nice new modern facility. And Point Blank range. And then, of course, where else? There's one outdoor range I went to, and then there's also a club that we're a member of now. And they all let you collect your brass. What about you, TJ?
Yeah, so I see a little bit of the same stuff, and it really depends. It varies from range to range. Being down here in the South, where there's a really heavy concentration of reloaders, in the community, most of them don't have a problem with you picking up your brass, or picking up any brass that's on the floor. They ask that you refrain from taking it out of the buckets, where other shooters have already dumped it.
Oh,
but
sure.
Kind of the rule of thumb is, if it's on the carpet and not ahead of the firing line, yeah, that's for safety reasons. But as long as it's on the carpet, it's fair game. Those that don't, they might not allow it. They don't really do anything to stop you. But my local range here, Eagle Eye Outdoor Shooting Complex, is all an outdoor range, and yeah, you pick up whatever you want there.
And Corey?
I've got excuse me. There's an outdoor range up in Freetown, Indiana, and they have like
Is it
different,
a club or a private range?
I guess it's a club.
If you're a member, or
I think you pay like $50 a year.
Wow, that's cool. That'd be really awesome.
And it like there's like the very first bay that you see, it's like it's like a tactical type range portion, and then all the other
What makes
bays.
it tactical?
Well, they have a bunch, like a course set up, and they have different kind of police tactic kind of thing going on. That's where a lot of the police actually go out and shoot. Okay. So a lot of the Seymour Police Department actually go out there and they qualify with their training weapons, or duty weapons, I should say, not training weapons, duty weapons. But I think there's like 5 bays out there, and then the whole length is an actual like rifle setup. So if there's not anybody out there, you can actually shoot, 200 yards if there's nobody else out there.
Cool.
But it's mostly, you can pick up your own brass. It's just left there in the gravel. So, generally they shoot a lot of the cheap stuff, a lot of the steel casings and stuff like that. Every time I went, I always picked up my brass. But there's a gun range in Louisville towards Crestwood, and I can't think of the name of it, but they won't even let you even attempt to pick a shell up. You have to bring brass. You can't shoot steel casing, and obviously you can't shoot high powered rifles with like green tips and all this stuff. So, but they won't. I even tried, while I was sighting in my AR when I had it, I even tried to, have a brass catcher. And
so you sold your AR? I'm sorry, it says you used to have.
Huh?
Your AR?
Yeah, I still have it. Yeah, it was when I was sighting it. It was when I was sighting it in.
Oh, I misheard you. I thought you said when you used to have it.
No, no.
Gotcha.
I was. It was the first time I really had ever shot it, and I was sighting it in and everything.
What
And
do you have for an AR?
I got a Delton.
Okay. Cool.
It's just got iron sights on it. It's just a normal AR.
Right on USA has
that's
a
right.
Gen 1 discount. It's 45% off or something like that right now.
Yeah, I think it's like Gen 1 blowout or something. But like that range was really weird unless you actually had the casing catcher. Like you couldn't even bend over to pick up a shell. Like it was like not allowed.
Wow.
It was really kind of crazy.
That is insane. They won't even let you do a case catcher. That's just crazy.
Well, I mean, they had them, but if you weren't using it, you couldn't pick them up.
Huh. Okay. So Brandon, how is it by you then?
Well, at the indoor range in Montgomery, where I was from, they wouldn't let you pick up shells at all. And I'd try to like empty them into my bag and everything, but it's kind of pointless at that point. Love shooting the revolver there though, but anyway. But up here, I asked because I went in and asked a real popular range around here, and they said, "Oh yeah, no problem, man." And so I was like, "Oh, okay." So I was just kind of, and these are the only 2 indoor ranges that I've been to, so I wasn't sure of the consensus, and that's why I was asking to get a group.
The speaking of that with the range bag, a lot of times I'll leave the range bag lid open in hopes to catch some of them, just so I don't have to pick them up.
Yeah.
That come out later on.
So my general rule of thumb is, I can get brass from any of my local places, but if I have a wild hair and I decide to go up to an indoor gun range, I'll generally judge whether or not I want to shoot there based on their can you pick up brass policy. And the reason isn't because I'm a reloader and I want the brass. The reason is if they're going to be so uptight that they won't let you pick up brass off the ground that's yours, even if it's yours, then I probably won't want to shoot there. I won't want to give them my business. I mean, ranges need to be uptight about certain things. Safety, probably chief among those, right? But if you're going to be so uptight that you won't let me pick up stuff that's still technically mine, then yeah, you can kiss my ass. I'll take my business elsewhere.
No. There's 2 other points that I wanted to kind of ask about this, kind of related, and I totally agree with you too. If they're that stingy on keeping your brass, then how much are they charging for the ammo at the door? But besides that, being a reloader, I mean, I'm always checking my brass for high primers and craters and stuff, and I don't even shoot hot loads really. So are they going to deny you the possibility of checking your own brass that's coming out of your gun that could potentially be a hazard to other shooters? That's number one.
That's a good point.
And then on the others, now playing devil's advocate on the other side of that, do you really want noobs in there who are just in there renting a gun, like trying to chase their own brass around to look at it or whatever? So that's kind of another thing to consider as well. So
that's a very valid point, though, about being able to check your primers and check your history of your brass. If they're not going to let you do that, I mean, I have to imagine though. Yeah, I mean, unless they're really jerks about it, I mean, if you explain that to the range officer, say, "Hey, I'm shooting reloads. I want to be able to take a look at my brass. Do you mind if I do that? I'm not trying to pick up all of it, but I want to take a look at it. And if they're unreasonable and say no, at least that's a valid point to bring up."
Now, most indoor ranges won't let you shoot reloads anyway. So that's
a good point too. Yeah,
that's the first thing. Like
I wouldn't say most, because I've shot reloads at all the ranges I've been at down here.
Well, I've shot reloads at most of the ranges I've been at, but that doesn't mean that they openly allow you.
Oh, it's like it maybe not in their policy, but no one's going to stop you, kind of thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, my argument is if it's in a factory box, do you have the forensic capabilities to prove that it's a reloaded ammunition? You know, if I'm using copper jacketed or even copper coated bullets from like Extreme or whatever, and you just look at them, they look like factory bullets.
That's true.
So you have no way of knowing just from a physical appearance that it's reloaded ammunition or factory.
That's what. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Corey.
Some of the ones that I've been seeing, like Blue Lakes Ammo, and I don't know if Nevada Ammunitions is one of them, or the 22 Gun Club, but a lot of things that you see, like Phoenix Ammo and Blue Lakes Ammo, like they all offer like those bulk deals with remanufactured ammunition, and they look like brand new, clean brass because they got them all.
Tell.
You would never tell, and you can only, I think TJ, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you can only reload brass 2 or 3 times, correct?
No, that's not true at all.
No, you can do a lot more.
Okay, because I knew after like a certain point the brass will end up splitting.
If it's rifle brass, maybe.
Well, no, even pistol. It depends on how you're loading your ammo, right?
True.
So you really have a couple things to keep in mind when you're dealing with reloads. Every time you reload and work that brass, you can work harden it. So it's going to split one of 2 ways. It's either going to split in your press or it's going to split when you shoot it.
Right.
Now, as a safety precaution, a lot of guys won't reload their brass after so many times, but it's not because they're physically or scientifically incapable of reloading it. It's a safety precaution. It's a personal preference.
Okay.
Also, when you're dealing with rifle brass, when you can't trim it any further, that's another part of it, because every time you full size or full length resize a piece of brass, you're taking it from that minimum trim length. So for AR-15 brass, or 223 brass, that's 1.75 inches. Anything below that, and it's outside of Sammy's specs. So you could only stretch it back out to above 1.750 and then cut it back down to 1.750 so many times before you start thinning the brass out, and that's when you can kind of have a case rupture. So if you're going to be safe with it, like that rule of thumb for the don't reload it more than X number of times, it pertains more to rifle brass, and that's just because of the type of charge that it is. But pistol ammo, shit, I'll reload that stuff all day long.
Yeah, I mean, I've done that a bunch of times with reloads, for 9mm and whatnot.
Yeah, but you really won't. You won't see 9mm or pistol cartridges starting to get loaded to their breaking point until you start looking at like the serious USPSA and IPSC shooters that are shooting like 9mm major power factor. That's a really smoking piece of hardware right there.
What are you gonna say, Brandon?
I was just going to ask if you guys check all your pistol cartridges for trim length every time.
No, I have not.
No, I'll plunk test and chamber check all my stuff, but nah.
Right.
I'll just make sure. It's the right. I make sure it's the right caliber and it's good to go.
Yeah, I need to start doing that, checking in the chamber, like chamber check them. But just take a barrel in the chamber in my hand, or get a case gauge. But
yeah, they've actually got blocks now with like 100 chambers that you can use to check it.
The Armory makes them. At least for 223. I don't know if they make them for any other calibers, but there are other ones out there.
Yeah, there's big block of 100 chamber check, apparatuses for like 9mm and 38 Super and all that. Hundo, that's it. Thanks, Brandon.
Yep, awesome. I will say this: I hadn't had a case gauge yet. For my rifle brass, I bought one because I was having some issues with stuck cases. And I did find out a bunch of my ammo was, basically failing my case gauge test. So I say a bunch, like there's a good portion of my reloads that I had from before I started checking them that was doing that. I had a bunch of cases too that I resized that were probably shot like one time. And I don't know if I set my resizing die up improperly. I haven't loaded them. But I went through all my brass that I had deprimed and sized, and checked them with the case gauge, and I found like maybe a third of them that were out of spec. and I don't know if it was because maybe I misset up my press. What I'll probably end up doing is going through and running those all again through a sizing die just to double check them and see if that makes a difference or not. Or run.
What kind of sizing die are you using, Rick?
I was using a Hornady.
Is it a small base die?
I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, check out the small base dies. Like I use the one from RCBS, but the small base die.
What is the difference on those exactly? Because I just want to make sure I understand it really well.
So it actually shrinks the shoulder of the cartridge down to just below factory spec. So it makes it more reliable when being fired through a semi-auto rifle.
So I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Okay, so the shoulder of the case, so the bottom end of it where the primer goes, or the part just above the rim of the cartridge,
right?
It actually compresses that down into a smaller diameter than SAMI specs, so it makes it more reliable for feeding into semi-autos. And most of your case gauges are a tighter tolerance than most chambers.
I kind of figured that. And honestly, I was gonna. This is maybe a bad idea. I was figuring I was probably gonna take one of my beater rifles and just run the ammo in that. Make sure it closes up on it. Thoughts?
Yeah. Another thing too. Make sure your case gauges are clean. So I've got a case gauge. I've got a Lyman case gauge for my rifle, and it does like 6 different calibers. It'll do 223, 556, 220 Swift, 300 Blackout, 762 by 39, and a couple others.
I'll tell you what, I'm not real impressed with the when looking at this. So I was holding it up. Not to interrupt you, I was gonna say, like, you probably can't see it because it's not lit up or anything. But when you look on the inside of this case gauge, the Lyman case gauge, it just seems like the finish on the inside is a little rough too.
Yeah, you got to make sure that's clean and a very light coat of lubricant.
I probably need to do that because I'm starting to see a little bit of rust in those grooves. It looks worse on here than it is.
Yeah,
just from it sitting here and just oxidizing a little bit.
Well, and my Lyman case gauge is even coated. It's got like it's got the Lyman orange, finish on it, so it doesn't rust, which is good. But if you get any type of like case lube residue, a grain of polishing media or anything like that in there, it'll throw it off. Like your cases won't seat right. And what I was having a problem with is the case would seat, but it wouldn't drop back out. And that's usually an indication that it's out of spec because it's supposed to fall in and out of the case gauge freely. Or if it has to be pulled out or popped out, it very light, like just a tap, and it'll come out. And mine was not doing that. I ran a brush through it, swabbed it out really good, like a drop of oil on a Q-tip and no more than a drop, just to keep it clean. And yeah, man, it runs just like it's supposed to. And I've never had a problem. And luckily, knock on wood, I've never had a case head separation or anything like that either.
I haven't either. I have had a neck split, happen on one that I reloaded a couple times. I will tell you, it was probably Federal brass from like their cheap 100 in a 100 bulk box from Walmart, and those are all undersized. Like I've bought them and reloaded them. You measure them out of the box, being fired once, they're all below spec for the overall case length. And I'm like, okay, well, fine, whatever. I don't have to trim them. Screw it. I'm going to load it up and run it. And I did one of those a few times, and I think I want to say the one that probably split was probably reloaded like 3 times or so. At least I don't know exactly, but it is what it is. This thing, actually, I gotta go look at this in person when we get off air. But this print looks like it's coming out pretty smooth. The first layer, the bottom corner, which you can maybe see on the left hand side, or below like the B in the BigGunner81, which might be kind of hard to read on your guys' end. There was a little bit of a spot that didn't quite stick real well at one point, but then it just kept building on top of it. So it left a little mark on the bottom, but I don't really care because it's a, basically prototype type deal. But it looks like the shell is coming out pretty smooth. And one of the things I was looking at today, because I was reading through some of the stuff, trying to figure out how to help improve some of my stands from getting warped and so forth on the bottom. There's a lot of good, interesting information, and it seems to be more inherent with larger prints, like they have a larger footprint. And I realized the bed, it has springs in each corner with thumb screws. You can adjust the tension and adjust the level of the bed and that kind of thing. And I went and just kind of grabbed the bed and kind of wiggled it to see if there was any looseness to it. And I thought that the rollers might have been what was loose, causing some play. But then I realized, no, it's actually the top plate of the bed moving on these 4, springs / posts in the corners. And I tightened them down and made adjustments, and I readjusted my Z-axis, so the up and down axis, to accommodate for compressing those springs further. And I think I'm getting less of like, I don't know, I'll see when I'm done. I'm sure there'll be some ripples, but when it makes these movements forward and back and left and right and all this stuff, mainly when the bed's moving, you get like a vibration. Vibrations, when you got like loose components, like maybe the bed was too loose in a sense, causes like waves and ripples in the surface of the material, because as the print head's going across it, the object's like shaking in a sense. So this looks like it's coming out pretty decent. That pencil holder thing that I made for my desk came out pretty well the one day. And this color here looks like it's like an orange. It was supposed to be a translucent red, and it's like more like a translucent amber / orange color. I'm not really liking it a whole lot, but it doesn't matter. I'm just going to make some stuff with it anyway and use it up and just buy something else for red next time. But this thing, I wish I could show you all what it's going to look like on my screen, but I don't think I have a screenshot anywhere to show you what the Fusion 360 file looks like. But to sum it up, you're looking at where the lettering is on the face that's kind of closest to the white block there. That is the front of it, and it's probably not quite. To give it a sense, when that inner edge and the outer edge where the lettering is kind of come together, that's like the highest point of the front, and the back of it, which is where the print head is toward the rear of the bed on this, opposite of the block, I guess is the way to put it. That's the highest point. Like I said, it's supposed to be, I think, like 4 inches, maybe 4 or 5 inches tall. I don't know if I have the dimensions right for what we need to do. We will find out and so forth. I'm just kind of looking at it on here, and it's kind of hard to tell if there's some sagging or not in that one spot on it from the video. But I'm hoping it comes out decent, because I'm really curious to know. Oh, you know what that is? I'm sorry. That part right there where it's going in the middle, that's actually the probably the lowest point of where it's like a cradle. I'm looking at it like, is it coming out all deformed? I don't know, but it may just be making the curve of it right now, because it's going to be like almost like a V shape from the side. It's sort of, but I'll post pictures up on Instagram when it, as long as it turns out like it's kind of supposed to. You can see it making a box right now, and then it's doing the infill in the center of it. So that box shape is as it's building up the back portion of that V. Now it's going to do the front part of that, kind of do a similar thing, and then do the other side. But it's kind of fun to watch, but it takes a long time to get it done. And I started doing some of the live streams on here with it, so people who feel like watching paint dry in a sense can stop in, check it out, what I'm making or what it's doing. And cool thing is you can take a glimpse at it live, and then you can always come back to it later and kind of fast forward through the video and kind of see the different points as to how it started and what it turned out to be and everything.
That'd be cool for you to get some time-lapse footage of, Rick.
I want to do that too. I just haven't had a chance to set up a different camera. I probably will do. I guess I really don't have to, but the webcam footage is not as good quality because it's getting recorded through YouTube. But I probably should do that with like just get my camera set up and just do it. I could probably do that with like my knockoff GoPro probably. But yeah, I mean, otherwise I can always take and just, like I said, take this video off of like, not this one here, but when I'm doing one of them, download it off of my YouTube account, speed it up and repost it too. So there's an option to see it if you want to see the whole process step by step.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
So anyway, we kind of went past our time for tonight. If you guys got any final thoughts to wrap things up, TJ, if you got something you want to mention that we didn't get to cover yet.
Nah, man, I'm good for the night. Thanks for having me again. And for those of you watching, if you get a chance, go check out my channel as well.
Yep, I was going to say that. Excellent.
In the near term, just get out and shoot, guys. Have fun.
Yes, have fun shooting, as always. And then, Corey, you got anything?
I've been rather quiet this evening. I'm a little tired. I got a bunch of school stuff going on. It's been a busy last week and busy week this week. I think we've finally confirmed the pricing on the labels, so now we're looking at getting some concepts done.
Cool.
So hopefully in the next week or so, I have something on that. Last week I was just ate up about what happened in Florida.
Yes,
I was. I think the word verbally attacked on Facebook is kind of an understatement. In some of the things, obviously, when you put out there that your thoughts and prayers are with people and people attack you because you're showing sympathy. Yeah,
they'll say, well, what good are your thoughts and prayers?
Yeah.
It's guns at fault, and you need to get rid of your guns.
Yeah, the thoughts and prayers, they didn't work last time. Why would they work this time? Thoughts and prayers is a symbolic statement of sympathy and an empathic gesture to those who are mourning the loss of a life, and that's all it is. It's not thoughts and prayers aren't going to take care of the problem. Thoughts and prayers are simply those to let others know that you're with them in their feelings of grief. Right. And I've had it was a rough couple of days, and still kind of rough with people back and forth. But we'll get through it.
Absolutely.
I just
Corey,
good time to weed out some people too sometimes.
Now, I'm going to jump in here on this, Corey. Look, I'm guilty of the thoughts and prayers thing too. I don't see how it helps very much.
No, I get that.
But let me tell you what. I would much rather have 1 million people simply do nothing but send thoughts and prayers if I'm a victim of a tragedy or somebody I know is the victim of a tragedy than have that one piece of shit that grandstands on the bodies of my loved ones to push some bullshit agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So, Corey, you keep doing you. We all know you're a good dude.
Oh, thank you.
Fuck the haters. They can kiss my ass.
And there's a lot of things coming out right now that's saying that these students that we're seeing on TV, they're crisis actors for CNN.
Yeah, this David Hogg or whatever the heck his name is.
Yeah.
Is that it? Did I say it right? I don't know.
Hogue, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he's not even a student there.
I just tagged you and TJ in something on Facebook. It said that he was a graduate from like Laguna Beach, California in 2015. Yeah. So I don't know.
My recommendation is let that lie.
Yeah.
If it's real, then actual news media will pick it up and chew it to pieces. I don't put too much stock into things I see on stuff like that.
A question: if media is using people in this sense, would media call itself out?
Well, not that news outlet, but others would.
Hope so.
Let me put it this way: somebody more credible than a random stranger on Facebook claiming to have a direct relation or association with that person will call them out, and that bridge will get burned.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah.
So Brandon, you got any final thoughts for tonight? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I was out shooting some shot shells through the pistol, and I found out, I don't know if you guys know, but I've been shooting these CCI shot shells for a while, and the 9mm worked fine. I found that they have a big 4, which has got 4 shot in it.
Are you shooting this in a semi-auto? And it'll cycle?
Yeah.
Cool.
I shoot it through my Kel-Tec PF9, and it cycles these small shot perfectly, no problems. But when I moved to the big number 4 shot, I had some issues with it cycling. So a little bit of ammo review there for you. But besides that, I think your white thing on your thing looks like a dice holder.
Oh, the that little cube thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of is like a dice thing. It's only a 1 inch by 1 inch cube. It's not real big. But I know I can't do a screen share because I'm using the Google Chrome for some reason won't let me do screen shares properly. But we've been making some progress on the 50 States of AR-15 website. If you go to the 50 States of AR-15.com, I just put together a little video with a bunch of clips from various parts of videos and things that we did as part of the project to kind of show some of the different rifles, some of the different people, some of the different events we've been to, and things like that to kind of give a little bit of a taste of what you can see in the project. And then we also, I know Brandon has been working on this. We got a contact form set up. If you would like to contribute to the project, or have an idea for the project, or maybe you own a company and want to be part of it, you can contact us at info@the50statesofar15.com, and we'll get that email. And you can also do like through the contact form on the website now. And right now, we're still kind of working on some of the things. I know me and Brandon have been talking about like setting up the links for social media and stuff. So we're kind of playing around with that. I just added a section for like a Brownells link. If you go on there, go visit Brownells, check them out. We have a affiliate account set up with them now. And also, if you are going there for the first time, you can go to the map of the United States, and they'll see some little balloons on the map on this Google map. This is something that Brandon helped put together. Basically, you can go to the different states and kind of zoom in and pick out, that rifle builds page. And basically, the balloon points on the map are from the town and state where that rifle's receiver was made. The company that was behind it, what the engraving on the receiver is, basically. And you can kind of check out all the videos from YouTube that are on that video, or on that rifle rather, and that includes the interviews with the different company owners, the different products in it, the build video, and I'm slowly but surely working on getting some of the specs together for each rifle to put on each of those pages to kind of tell you a little bit about each one. It's a massive project, and I can't do this without everybody's support. I thank Brandon again. Thank you, Brandon, for helping out with this, because it takes a lot of work to do all this stuff, and it takes a lot of support, even financially, to gather these components, and for the company. Some of the companies have donated some of the components, which has been very helpful, and I thank every one of them for that. And again, if you want to help out and get the next rifle completed, because we got a few of them that are on the cusp of being done, just contact me. Go through the contact page on the website there on the 50statesofar15.com, or send me an email at info@the50statesofar15.com, and I'll get that, and we'll figure something out. You can also go to patreon.com/BigGunner81 if you want to become a monthly Patreon supporter. We're going to have some different items to give as rewards to our Patreon supporters or patrons, and some of those things might be some of the 3D printed objects. Maybe if this little pistol stand that I'm putting together right now and printing turns out okay, maybe somebody can have that, and they can have that as the first prototype of this stand that we've ever designed for this style. Who knows? So you can own a piece of the history in the making, so to speak, of this stuff. Don't know where this whole journey of 3D printing and design is going to go, but I enjoy firearms, and I enjoy accessories and things for them, and I'm hoping to be able to make some cool creations as we've kind of started doing a little bit, and bringing those out to people, either to sell or just for people to enjoy in some aspect. But on that note, again, thanks for watching, everybody, and as always, have fun shooting, and we'll go ahead and post pictures of that stand up on Instagram and Facebook and everything, and watch more videos on 3D printing, and we'll see you hopefully next week. So thanks again.